We were doing our whole 8-minute noise set and it was like a basement, so I just I pulled the string on the light and I just got on the ground and started grabbing people's ankles and screaming and it just that's the one memory that I really associate with that era.
What's up? Welcome back to the She's of the Band podcast here on Knotfest. We've got Chrissy and Katerina of Escuela Grind back to the podcast, but also nice to meet you, which is kind of crazy to say.
That's crazy. Wow, we really haven't met in person, right?
Isn't the internet weird like that?
Crazy. No, I'm just now realizing.
I know, I feel like I know you both.
Yeah.
We've spoken on Zoom, but this is the first time where I'm like, oh my God, we're real people, not in screens. We are tangible humans. That's crazy. And thank you so much for driving down a little bit early. You're starting the tour with Hatebreed tonight, and it is one mega lineup, and you've rolled up to Florida, which thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
How are you holding up?
We got some sun, we got some ocean, so we're feeling pretty refreshed.
Yeah.
We usually try and make it to places early because, you never know. And especially since we were going to see you this morning. So we were like, we're going to look good. We're going to be ready. We're going to stretch, all that. So we went to the beach yesterday.
What are you stretching for? We're just sitting in a podcast studio. What are we preparing for? Look, if y'all want to flip the table, just let me know beforehand because I'm liable. This is a rental. I wouldn't expect anything less from you and your reputation in the heavy scene. You do go hard.
Oh, yeah.
But Thanks. This is one hell of a lineup, this Hatebreed tour as well. I was joking with a friend yesterday because we were looking at it and we're like, there's a lot of subgenres hitting this lineup. They were just like, heavy music? Yeah, cool, that works.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling just going into a tour with so many amazing peers?
It's crazy. It's an honor. I mean, it's Summer Slaughter. What a dream to be a part of it, like the brand itself. But
yeah,
we know that now it's since been taken over by, other parties rather than the original. So we've got lots of different influences coming in. So we were asked to be a part of this, and it came together so quickly, less than 2 weeks. They crafted the lineup. We were, asked. It got announced in 2 weeks' time.
That's a whirlwind for a tour.
It was really crazy, and yeah. So I'm really excited for it. I think Jamie Josta did a fantastic job picking bands that make sense together, but like you said, have a lot of subgenres. And I know Ash and Sumerian are involved in it too, and they definitely have their touch on it. So I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Is there anything to add to that?
Well, I'm just excited. I've seen Hatebreed in the States a couple times, but I am excited to see how it goes. We played with them over in Europe last year, and the crowd was very much different. The crowds for Hatebreed in Europe are not the same as the ones in the US, so it's gonna be fun to watch that backstage.
Yeah, and being such an eclectic, I'm gonna use the word eclectic lineup. There are probably gonna be a lot of different kinds of metal fans coming out to these shows.
Definitely.
And I know y'all love a challenge. You love to expose people to new genres, challenge the limits and what you can do in the metal scene, and winning over crowds. What is your strategy going into this tour? How do you psych yourself up before shows? How do you keep the mindset in that lane?
Ooh, that's
big. Question.
We're lucky enough to where we've gotten to play to so many diverse audiences and both taste and style and music wise. So we're lucky that we have that experience. Other than that, I mean, how do we prepare? We have 20-minute set. So we started there. And so it's then you cut the fat, sort of it's Summer Slaughter. So we're leaning heavier with this set. We're not going to do the song with clean singing, we're not going to do more of the hardcore punk stuff.
The 30-second songs we kind of left. Yeah.
So
we'll slip them in, but it's definitely since we have so many EPs that we've done certain genres on, we're able to pick and choose.
Totally.
So that helps us a lot, honestly. Yeah. So
and we can literally pick and choose the songs that fit. So we felt like it was probably going to be more of a hardcore metalcore crowd, with the presence of what we know to be Hatebreed shows in the United States and Gridiron and Malevolence was on the tour. They're no longer able to join, which really sucks because I did want to see them.
We're excited.
It's hard to see them. But so we thought we were going to lean a little bit more metalcore with this. So we picked the songs that fit the best with that. And, there's a few songs that we know we have to have in there. So, and we punctuate our set with them. So we always open with Always Watching You now because it just makes sense and it fits. And, so it wasn't too difficult, but, you stand the risk of making the wrong decision and then having to kind of change it. And we're like a laptop band now, so we have the click in our ears and stuff. It's it's like
you would
so
never
we would.
tell.
I'm ready for the
Yeah.
comments. Sell out.
Yeah, there you go.
Please
Do it.
It's called putting on a good show.
Exactly. No, it's definitely helped us a lot. Helped us get tighter. We've only done one show like that, and it's literally just like a click track in our ears, and that's it.
It's also like you don't want to be the one going over your set time. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be that band.
Especially on a lineup like this where it is tight
Right.
turnarounds, I'm
Exactly.
sure,
Yeah,
in between
exactly.
all of that. Yeah. So
Exactly.
as you get bigger, the shows get bigger. Gotta adapt to the times. And you're getting bigger. It's all happening.
Thank you.
I love knowing that so much strategy goes into creating your set list and how you are thinking about the audience in front of you and making sure that they have the best time and love it as much as possible. Do you find that it's almost harder to have a 20-minute slot or like a headlining slot? Because I'm thinking, at least in a headlining slot, maybe you could like take a breather. 20 minutes, you're like, no, go.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
There is that.
It's intense.
At least for me, because the pauses make all the difference for me. The more choreographed it is, I guess you can say, the easier it then becomes because it's like you're running a race and you see the finish line. It's like, all right, I got 20 seconds until I know that I can take a drink of water, or like I just have to like keep
Yeah.
going through. So that's kind of the only thing that makes it easier. I guess headlining spots are fun, and especially in Europe when they want you to play like an hour. That's fun because then we can just be goofy and like talk to people like and banter and throw in covers if we wanted to, or et cetera. So tit for tat, like there's pros and cons to it, but I find the shorter sets easier, to be honest. Like just getting through.
It's cool to like make an impression too. Like out of just 20 minutes, like you have to get a crowd that's probably never seen before to move to what you're playing. Like we always want to have a circle pit song. We always try to do the wall of death at the end of our set. So it's like trying to prove ourselves in that amount of time, in aspect to 40, 50 minutes where we're probably winded by the end.
Yeah.
I contend like probably like 20 minutes is where I start to get tired, like really tired.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, especially 20 minutes nonstop and the amount of energy that you put into your set in particular. It's interesting because did you use a race analogy or did I put it in my head?
A what analogy?
Like a race analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you
I just
did.
did,
I was
yeah.
like, am I just being like a fitness nerd right now? Or, you did. Because it's almost like a 5K versus a marathon.
Yeah,
And like they
exactly.
both have their own challenges in terms of stamina and it's how you approach it.
Exactly.
So,
And where you put songs in the set,
Yeah.
especially for our drummer. Like some of our songs are quite blast heavy. And well, now that we have the click track,
Yeah,
I think
less
it's
sprinting
easier
now.
for
We pace
them.
ourselves with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We used to fly through some of those parts. Like
Yeah.
listening back to our old sets and our sets now, like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, we were playing
Yeah.
so fast.
But that's kind of what you want is like to be able to look back and be like, damn, okay. And then now you feel like you have
Right,
such
yeah.
a better handle on it. It's growth, right?
Yeah, we're constantly doing that. It's constantly like that. I'm like
And there's always
always
room.
trying to get
Yeah,
better.
Yeah.
always room.
And not in like a toxic way, just in a we're always improving and there's always room to grow.
Yeah.
But like
Right,
be proud
yeah.
of where you are now too. Like
Exactly.
it's all the vibe. Yeah. There was something interesting you had said in another interview. I'm actually gonna find it. Yeah. You had said success is not a given.
Yeah.
And I really respect that mindset because it's been so evident in your work ethic. Not just in the way you strategize your set, but the amount of shows. There was one year, was it last year or 2 years ago that you
2
played
years
ago.
250
Yeah,
shows?
that was
I'm
2
like,
years ago.
That's diabolical.
Yeah.
How do you kind of find the boundary and the balance of what's the right amount of work to put in that feels productive for your growth versus when you might be hurting yourselves?
Well, we've definitely toned it down, the amount of shows. Like, you
Yeah.
don't want to push your body like that. It's also like being at home. We try to find things that we like to do that don't like burn us out. Because I feel like just being in a band constantly is like just not really the best for your mental health.
Yeah.
Especially like if you have to take in everything from social media. And if you're just spending your whole time at home working on the band, you're not really working on yourself. And that's pretty important too.
Yeah.
For all of us in the band, yeah.
And sometimes you can use overworking to avoid those things too.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
you just
Right.
get
That's my
so
thing.
you
Yeah.
would I'm speaking for myself here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I identify with my work so much that I just ignore and it becomes like a deflection method.
Right.
And that was actually something I really wanted to touch on in this interview because I read and watched as many interviews with you as I could before coming into this. And all of it is about the music, which of course I love learning about your music, but I also want to know you as people. So let's talk a little more about what you do when you're home. Like how are you finding that balance? What brings you joy when you're not focusing on music?
Yeah, that's like I always love practicing in my bedroom, or my living room. I always want to be a better musician. But I also want to just I spend more time with my family lately. My girlfriend, we go fishing. Like that's something I haven't done really much ever as a kid. So it's just new things. Like also moving to I moved to a new apartment recently, right by the river. So we're constantly doing this, and we go to card shows as well. We've been doing a lot of trading card shows. I really like Yu-Gi-Oh, and they're more like Pokemon. I love Pokemon too, but you know, it's just
That's awesome.
finding just communities within, you know, different not I wouldn't say that people in the music scene are different than these communities than what we're doing with trading cards and all that, but being different people that might like these things, that might like our band. It's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And the more you're able to expand into other communities, it kind of expands your own mind and helps you be able to separate from music at times
Totally,
too.
yeah.
So expand
For
your
sure.
worldview a little bit. Yeah.
It's helped me for sure. I mean, I'm a little bit older than Chrissy, so I'm trying to figure out my priorities right now as a midlife person.
Midlife.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to
Come
say.
on.
It's at this point, it's midlife. But yeah, so similar to Chrissy, the card shows and finding different bubbles to kind of be in, because that's kind of I think how we function just as people. Most of us is we have our little niche thing that we're interested in. We hyperfixate on these things, and music is always one of those. But finding other hobbies and interests and niches is something that we always go to. So, and myself, I try and find a lot of different ways of working, and I love crafts, and I'm an architect, and
That's right. Yeah.
I've become a substitute teacher. Now it's summer, obviously, but that's been very rewarding, and it's great work for people in band because they need you, and whenever you're there, they're happy to have you. It's just the pay is shit. The pay is really bad. So yeah.
Well, I commend both of you for being able to find those interests outside of music, because I think especially as you get older, the hobbies start to shrink. Like when you're a kid, it's like, oh, I'm going to do sports and I'm going to do art and crafts or the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and it's so great to be able to revisit that as adults once you feel like, okay, career's in order.
Yeah.
We've done our 250 shows in a year. Now find the other priorities and all that. I've been in a bit of an Instagram reel rabbit hole at the moment of it's just adult introverts finding craft hobbies at home.
Yeah.
So my poor explore page is showing me a lot of what is it, crochet, and I'm I don't
the
think
stained glass people. You get them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get them. I'm never gonna do it, but I get them.
Yeah, it's all of that stuff. I'm I love the idea. Maybe I'll do some paint by numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
What's on y'all's explore pages? Actually, that's a fun question. What's going on your algorithms?
Pretty similar. Mine are just cats. I'm gonna be honest. It's just
Let's go.
just cat content.
Silly cats, cute cats, all of the cats.
Evil cats, silly cats, big cats, small cats, every kind of cat.
We don't discriminate.
No, definitely not.
I love that. That's wholesome.
We send each other reels a lot.
Yeah.
The ones that we think will make each other laugh.
Shit. My algorithm changes so much. It's very bizarre, I find. But I don't think Instagram knows what ethnicity I am, because it sends me all of the ethnicity videos. Anything that's viral in another country in another language, I won't understand. I'll get it, and a lot of times it's pretty funny. The Scottish ones you like,
Yeah,
a
the
lot.
Scottish ones are great.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe
Scottish
because I
freaks.
really like I get a lot of reels from all over the world. I think it's pretty cool.
And I'm sure you're feeding it by continuing to click
yes,
on them
exactly.
as well. You're just
That's
well,
what it
what's
is.
this Scottish reel?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
you're going to go even more.
Exactly.
It's just such a slippery slope.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know when this is going to come out, but right now I think everyone's reels are probably all Black Sabbath
Yeah.
final show stuff. That's been my Instagram crazy.
I've been enjoying
crazy.
that, watching the older interviews and
Yeah.
um,
I'm a big Randy Rhoads fan. Haven't seen much of Randy Rhoads though.
yeah, we love Randy Rhoads and Zach Wilde, and I think we all grew up on that.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I've been enjoying that content as well. I'm like, just keep it coming. Like,
Yeah.
actually, let's just keep that rolling. But this is a great segue because Dreams on Algorithm is the latest album. And that album title is so good.
Thanks.
Obviously, it's a reference to how social media, the internet, digital age is impacting our minds, especially our subconscious, our dreams. And it's such good food for thought. So what is your current relationship with all of the digital things, especially as a band where it's both fruitful and stressful? And did writing this album also impact the mindset at all?
Yeah, so we wrote this album during that year that we did the 250 shows. So that definitely affected a lot that
We
we
were
wrote
never
about
home.
on the
Yeah.
album. We were living on our phones essentially in a van. So that was all anyone that's gone on tour knows it's just like lots of driving and lots of scrolling. So that influenced it. So I guess the theme, the Dreams on Algorithm, came from wanting to do something with the phrase DOA, which usually means dead on arrival, I'm pretty sure,
Mhm.
or it might mean one other thing. But so I wanted to take that, but make it a new acronym. So algorithms came first because that was obvious. We've written about that a lot in the past, and we had some other songs about that. So it was something that we could go back to. And then the dreams on part came in because also in the past, I've done a lot of lyrics with like subconscious and some sort like philosophy, just a grab bag of kind of that stuff. So we fixated it on dreams on algorithms like that, how it's affecting us, how it's affecting what we do. And so to answer your question, like how does it actually affect us? I mean, for me, it's been detrimental. I really compare and contrast everything and I hyperfixate. And so Facebook wasn't good for me. I had to get rid of Facebook. Twitter
Mhm.
wasn't good for me. I had to get rid of Twitter. I don't do like Reddit or anything. Truly, the only thing I do is Instagram and
Which your memes on there are great, by the way. The ones
thank
you post, you are killing it.
so Instagram, where I mostly just share meme stories, and I guess you could call something like a Pinterest, like stuff like that, like
Yeah.
those kind of sources I like to go to for inspiration for band stuff and visuals and whatnot. So, but as a band, social media obviously is great. I can't complain about social media too much, in the fact that it put us out there so quickly. And so, like, we have fans in Indonesia. We've never been to Indonesia. I don't even know if they can get our tapes, like, or
That's
our
wild.
So
Yeah.
that's amazing. I wouldn't trade that. It does come with the craziness of being within these bubbles, and anything can be misconstrued. Anything can be blown up out of proportion, and I've seen it happen with other bands. I've seen it happen with our band. It's distressing. It's not music, so it doesn't feel right. But I think we've struck a fairly good balance of using social media to our advantage and portraying us as people on there enough. Not, I think we probably used to show a little bit more of ourselves. Now we've kind of pulled back from that and really made it focused on the music, which we might, that comes. I think that comes and goes with us.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think we still show like our own interests through social media. Like it's I've been doing covers recently. I did a Dying Fetus cover recently, and that got a lot of nice interaction. Like people that just like might hear our music all the time. I think they always need a little break from
Mhm.
from that. Like it can't just always be promoting the next song, like or else it
Yeah.
just gets kind of stale. Gets like
Yeah. Unless you're knock loose, then you can kind of do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Let's just get
Yeah.
there. Then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. But it's like fans can kind of smell that when it's not always authentic or they're always being sold something.
Totally.
And there has to be an authenticity and a feeling of connection, which I guess is interesting because it's so of our generation. Because if you look back, obviously there was a point where musicians were untouchable. You couldn't know. And now there is that like, okay, well, we got to make ourselves relatable. We have to show our personality.
Or like the opposite of that, like so unrelatable, like a sleep token that you're not even
Yeah,
going to know
wearing a
my
mask.
face. You're not going to know my name. I'm going to paint my skin every night. You're not going to know nothing about me.
Which that idea gets real tempting
Yeah.
the more I spend online.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's pretty tempting. They have it easy.
Yeah.
Honestly, we should have done that for this industry. We should have all just come in anonymously. Can you imagine? Guess the band in the podcast today.
Is this Escuela grind?
You'll never know.
You will know.
That would have been, you know what, for next time.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
Now we can't do it because we've said it.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. I clearly woke up too early this morning. This is getting off the rails. No, but really interesting commentary. And too, there were a lot of Easter eggs in the artwork as well.
Yeah.
And like, I love a concept album, but it wasn't a concept album in terms of like strict storyline, but everything is pretty interwoven, I would say.
Thank you. I think that's a great assessment. That's exactly what I wanted, at least with like the lyrical content and the song structure and our artist, AC Tremblay. Thank you. He did our previous album, Memory Theater. Had to revisit it. He's really fantastic. Other people may know him. I always like to kind of boost him up because he's so humble and he doesn't do too much in the music realm. He's like an illustrator and but he has done the masks for Imperial Triumphant, that band. They're really cool. Check the band and Andrew out because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And he put a lot of, so basically the flow with that is we wrote and recorded the album, then he makes the artwork, which we've done differently in the past, but this last one, that's how he did it. And so I just gave him all the lyrics, and the tagline. I guess every movie has a tagline, right? So Dreams on Algorithms, what's the tagline of it? Here are the lyrics. Here's the color palette. I always have like a little mood board, I guess you could say. So I sent him all that, and I was just like, make it, and he just, he made it.
And that's awesome when you trust an artist, They always say, at least with tattoos, it's always like, you got to trust the artist. Yeah. So the fact that you just gave like the little, what was the tagline, by the way? I'm just curious.
Gosh, I usually have it, the Memory Theater when I memorized. This one I didn't really memorize, but gosh, I wouldn't be able to tell you right now. But
That's
eventually
okay.
I'll look it up, and then you'll get a text from me at 4 a.m. and be like,
this was
slip
it
in.
Yeah, if you remember, you let me know. Otherwise, totally cool. Because too, like albums do take so long to roll out that I'm sure when you made that tagline, it was still like so long to go before the album even came out. So
we recorded the album December of 2023. It came out October 2024.
Yeah,
and we had been writing throughout the whole year before that, and then some. I think some of the parts maybe we had for longer than a year. Concept of God, I think you had longer than a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Half of those riffs were written in a van. Like, we plugged into the aux of our van.
That's a good
So it's just going through the speakers, yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that. So you had your guitar in the aux cord?
Yeah. That was a Fender Micro Mini, or
it was the Fender Mustang. It's like a micro
Mustang,
amp that you just plug into your guitar and has a little aux out.
Bluetooth.
I would be just so exhausted just touring in itself, and you're out here with your guitar and the aux making these riffs.
Yeah.
Respect. Nothing but respect for your grind.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anywho. But so I know obviously you were writing this album while in the hustle of tour.
Yeah.
You told me there's some new music already kind of in the works.
We're playing a new song on this next tour for Summer Slaughter, which we've been pretty excited about. We played on our last tour, and it's always interesting seeing people trying to like figure out the lyrics before it's like out. Like, you can see them yelling something at you, but it's probably not the same thing that Katerina is saying. But it's been really cool. Like it's we've been playing with a lot more. Like I don't want to like put any bands that we've toured with in like a category, but a lot more deathcore bands, and like taking more influence from that, and just seeing like how they've influenced what we're doing on stage in terms of using in-ears, in terms of like really taking the time in our songs to like space things out for breakdowns. Like I think people are gonna really like it.
Yeah, so always evolving, trying some new things, maybe.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, love it.
We've always been, I think, heavily influenced by the bands that we've toured with. And so I think that'll be apparent to people. I think they'll see, if they'll see the Acacia Strainisms, they'll see a little Fit for an Autopsy. We've toured with them. So I guess when Chrissy's saying, we've been touring with more deathcore bands lately, it's present in the music always who we're touring with. So I think people will just intuit that, but it's always, like you said, it has to be authentic. So I think we find ways to make it still sound like us. Because I don't think anyone previously would have categorized us as like a deathcore band, but since we've been doing so many of these shows, like this is how people are now coming into our fold, and like they might assume that we're like more like that. I don't know how to say it exactly, but like the new fans that we've been getting might interpret us as that.
Yeah, they interpret it through their perspective or their introduction of you, I guess. That's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. It's always been a thing for us to sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine.
On whoever because when we started, we were like very punk leaning, power violence.
Grindcore.
Like we toured with those bands and anything adjacent to that. So like lots of noise, lots of what would you call something like?
We used to have like a 10-minute drone section in our set to end our set.
10-minute drone.
Always kind of
just go crazy mode.
Yeah.
Crazy mode.
Improv. There's this one show that comes to mind when we did that. You weren't in the band yet, but we played our friend Will's basement in North Carolina. Shout out to Live Live Records. And he had us down there, and we were doing our whole 8-minute noise set, and it was like a basement, So I just like I pulled the string on the light, and I just got on the ground and started grabbing people's ankles and screaming, and like it just that's the one memory that I really associate with that era.
I think I remember like the first time I went to go see Escuela before I was in the band. I brought some of my friends after the set. Like I asked them like what they thought about it because they don't go to see metal shows. And my friend Aurora, like they were like, I think the singer bit my ankle, but I'm sure you probably just grabbed it. But they were just so taken aback.
We love a full sensory experience. 4D show experience.
Not
used
maybe
to climb into the kick drum.
Yeah, I did.
High enough to fit in the kick drum.
Too.
Yeah, well, Jesse had a big kick drum at the time.
It was huge. Yeah.
So I was smaller then, but it was fun.
Good times.
We had fun doing that.
You are brave.
Yeah.
You are brave. I would be like the liability of just grabbing people's ankles.
But that's the thing. Like you do that kind of stuff and it's fun and it's like you get caught up in the moment, and then I always took it too far. So we kind of had to stop doing that because I would take it too far on myself. I gave myself a really bad concussion one time in Canada, and that was not good for me. I'm still kind of foggy because of like those. It wasn't just one concussion. It was more than one.
Taking a couple spills now. So.
And I've taken spills too, outside of the just bashing yourself and doing performance art or whatever.
Performance art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's people walking out of a grind band, though. Yeah. That's like,
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you want the shock value, you want the fun of it all, but at the same time you want to keep going as a band and be able to play the next show.
But also, like, can you do that kind of stuff at a venue that's got a 3,000 cap? Not everyone's gonna be able to see that.
Barrier.
You don't want to give a different experience with the people in the front row as the people in the back row. Like that's all things that we've kind of had to learn through experience, and still have to learn because there's still places to go. We still haven't played all the different types of venues you could, I guess you could say, like,
we're getting there.
We're close.
You absolutely are. And two, even when you get into bigger venues or even certain festivals, there's literally legal liabilities. Like there's some venues where you can't say like go crowd surf because then you're in so much trouble. Yeah. So maybe even grabbing ankles falls under the same category. They're probably like, don't do that, please. But anyways, now that let me steer us back because we were talking about like all the different genre influences over the years and all the different influences and loves you've had that have come into your music. You've had the EPs that are genre specific. There was death metal, power violence, grindcore, the three. I just want to ask sort of a fun off the wall question. Yeah. If you could tackle any genre for their next EP, it could be the most off the wall, like what the fuck are you doing genre. Yeah. Which one do you think you personally would just crush?
Well, so we had plans and we still have plans to make the last one be a hardcore EP. And with that, like a lot of people interpreted that differently. So like I think people will be interested to hear what our hardcore is, right? And it's going to be different for me and Chrissy. It's going to be different for me and Jesse and Tom and the rest of them. I mean, we're all different ages. We're all from different locations, and hardcore is such a location-based sound.
So age-based too.
I was going to say generations.
Yeah, because like my New York hardcore is different from your New York hardcore.
Totally.
I think. I wouldn't I don't know. I don't want to like throw out band names and stuff, but like Incendiary isn't the same as like,
Madball.
you know?
Yeah.
It's just, but like, and within like the old era, like none of those bands really truly sounded, but they all had a vibe, it was a time and place kind of thing. And, oh gosh, to answer your question, grunge. I think we would really,
Yeah.
I think we really kill. And we've kind of been going down that like lane with some influences peeking in our, and on Dreams of on Algorithms, Turbulence would be like a grunge influence song that we can say. Like we've had grunge influence riffs. We listen to a lot of it. Like it creeps in there.
Yeah.
But I think if we really like applied ourselves and wanted to do like a heavy grunge, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, like sort of maybe a little more punky Nirvana sort of feel to. I think we could do it, and I think we do it really well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have another one?
Well, I guess just out of my own personal niche, I really like electronic music. I know the rest of my bandmates do
Fun.
too, but like
No, this is for you. Forget
for,
that.
for me, yeah. But I mean, me and Jesse have always talked about putting breakbeats in our record, and like it'd be cool to do like electronic hardcore album. Like I'm really into like Square Pusher and like all that, like Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, like all that era, that scene of like electronic music. I hold close to myself, and I love listening to it while on the road. But I think we can make a cool take
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love like metal music. Like there are some metal bands I really love who are really inspired by FX Twin, and that
Yeah.
comes into the music. And I love when it gets a little moody, gets a little ambient.
Totally.
Yeah.
But see, when you first said metal with electronic, I was like, are we going back to Attack days? Like my brain went the wrong way. So I'm glad you also clarified which influences, because that goes a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
Hey, shit, we'd rock that too. What's up? I got my suit going. We can do it. Let's
Well,
go.
You
we're bringing
so
crapcore
good.
back, yeah.
Please. Why not? While we're at it, don't leave any genres behind. Look, if you ever want to do a Escuela crapcore album, you let me know.
Hell yeah.
I'm there.
Cool.
But I do want to talk a little about the grunge influence as well, because it is no coincidence I'm wearing my Alice in Chains shirt today. First of all, I've been looking for an excuse to wear this for a hot
there you
minute,
go.
so thank you.
Sure.
But Turbulence is one of my favorite songs you've released, maybe ever, because Alice in Chains is my favorite band of all time. And it's instant. You could hear it in that clean vocal moment, like what you're going for. And I know that was a really big risk for y'all to go into that clean singing, especially given your reputation in heavy music and the extreme side of what you do. What do you feel like is the biggest risk you've taken as a band, and what was the results?
Interesting. That's a nice segue, because Turbulence is kind of just about the risk.
Yeah.
Of
I mean,
what we do.
Mm-hmm.
we've taken many, many risks. I think our whole existence has been taking risks. That's just kind of like how Jesse and I are, like the way we approach our projects. And so the thing that comes to mind when we first started, like Ithaca, New York, 2016, just a little 3-piece band. It was myself, Jesse, our drummer, and our old guitarist, Seven, our original guitarist. And, it was only grind kids in town, no real big heavy scene or anything. There was a couple bands, and we were just making music, right? So that is great. And we were trying to foster a local scene like right in the beginning, but we were like, you know what, go big. And so what we did was we booked a bunch of like festivals, like, and I'm air quoting it, but they truly were festivals. They were DIY, but they were
definitely were.
festivals. And we booked them in LA, Oakland, and Dallas, which we had a connection to because Jesse's from there, and I used to live there for a bit. But so we booked these festivals and we put ourselves on them, of course, which I didn't know was like a poo-poo thing, but apparently it was a poo-poo thing. So that's risk. And, took the financial risk, took the logistical risk, of all that just to be able to tour and play and not ask anyone for permission, essentially. And, I guess I can see some people thinking of that as skipping the line, you know what I mean? Not paying your dues, but, we were still playing, and Jesse had been in many bands before and made those connections before. And, so maybe not with Escuela, we had played so many shows, but we took the risk of making the shows happen for ourselves in places we knew we wanted to go because we knew that there would be an audience for it there. Since we were so power violence grind, LA is the place for that. So the Bay, etc. So that was and then that was the thing that took off for us. I mean, we had recognition where we were locally because, we were out there touring and we were out there playing big festivals, albeit the ones that we made, but still we went out there and did that. And so that created a perspective on, the upstate New York where we were at the time for us to grow from that. And, we hit such big pockets already. So it made it possible, that big risk. And, I lost a shit ton of money, but it was a risk. But, it made it possible for us to start touring the United States as a whole, like in 2-week spurts. And so it was big risks up front, but it made it more possible for us to do what we should be doing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so, yeah, musically, Turbulence was a risk. I think the genre EPs are kind of a risk because it's like no one really can say what you are at that point.
Yeah.
But then again, we changed our name out of necessity from to Escuela Grind, so that kind of always gives it a fixating
That felt
point.
like a risk too, honestly.
Yeah.
And it this perceived notion that we're supposed to sound like grind because it's in our name, doesn't help anything. I was gonna touch on that earlier. Like, doesn't help for people to figure out what our influences are, or they'll argue our influences because of that, because we don't have A and B in our song or what they want to hear. However, I think because of that, I think we're just living that risk constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, you've interviewed so many musicians. I think I won't say that it's a risk. It's something different than that. But, just being female, being woman presenting, just being, any, queer, non-binary, anything other than dude, white dude is somewhat of a risk, because then as a musician, a lot of what you talk about then becomes, identity politics, because you are the other in the equation and you want to support your community, and you also want to, convey that you're welcome here and that you can do it too. But also, like, you don't want to just continuously talk about those topics all the time. Like, I'm more than that. Like, I'm not here. I'm here for our music. So we've been really lucky in that we've been able to kind of steer it that way for many years. And it's helpful that we have dude bandmates. So it can't always
Rebalance it out.
always be that. And we're all pretty different from each other. So it wouldn't just be one point for someone to fixate on. They would have to, go down so many different lanes, and then that becomes overwhelming. And it's like, so I think, anyone that you've had in these chairs can probably say that just being in a band like that is a risk. I don't know what the good word is for that, but a risk in itself, in that, you have to be so open, and you have to be a role model, but also you have to be a goddamn musician too. Like, and you want that. So
yeah, there's so much to unpack in that answer.
Yeah.
First of all, so thoughtful of an answer. And I do want to just touch on, let's go to the last point, since it's most fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And it is something I actually wanted to touch on, but not in so what is it like being a femme presenting person in a band? We're not doing that today. Fuck that. We've done enough of that. But just in terms of, there was another interview where he'd said how important your representation is in the scene for other people to feel seen, like for your fans to be able to see someone like themselves and have that solace. And then there is that other side of the coin of just your very existence, just being authentically yourself becomes a statement. Just by existing, your political statement.
Definitely.
And I think all of us at this table have felt that many points in our career. Is that something you just once or twice?
Couple.
Is that something you embrace? Is it something you're tired of? Or is it a mix of both? Kind of, how do you feel? Because I feel like that's the question no one asks. It's like, they always look at you, you're so empowering, you're so inspiring, but it's like, how do you feel about being that to people?
Like, I'm sure, like, it ties back around, like, the social media aspect.
Yes.
In terms of, like, people are always trying to, like, discover the identity through, like, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever you use. And with there being so many positive comments, there's also so many negative comments that you can receive. And I won't say it's, like, totally bad for our mental health. Like, I say, like, we get to read the room before the room's really in front of us sometimes, and we know what to expect. However, I can get down on myself a lot just being on Instagram or social media. Like, I get a lot of mean comments personally because, like, people would argue what I am in the woman scene constantly. Like despite if what if they're left, if they're right, like it could be either or. I feel so. I try not to look at it as like a black or white. Like it's kind of just it's hard being like that gray area, I would say. And I say that we are pretty lighthearted about it. When we're in the van with each other, like we'll joke about it. But when you go home and you're in your bed, and that's the first thing you see in the morning, like it gets pretty old. Yeah.
It's great that you have the camaraderie of your band to help bring the comic relief, I guess, to a situation that is kind of heavy, because that is a way to cope and it is a way to sort of process that. But yeah, it's intense when you have so many different voices in your ear, but at the same time, you're being authentically yourself and you feel good in your skin, but then other people can give you different thoughts.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm sure Catherine can speak on that a lot more as the front person of the band. Like that's,
And I do want to say, on the other side of the coin, there was a really beautiful moment that I saw on your Instagram that made me so happy, because it's also my community and my people, that you were part of the Kitty, the Pretty Cult clothing collaboration. Was it at Mayhem Festival?
Yes,
it was, yeah.
And I was like, you know what? There is good in this scene that you were included in such an important campaign
they were
for
all
women.
so nice too. Like I didn't I didn't feel like separated from that. Like I just felt nice to be included.
And I think
like
that's important.
Kitty, they're all really sweet. Like, it was such a cool thing to meet them.
More of that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're the perfect people to ask that question, because they've probably, they've probably been asked all the questions and
then some.
And then they've had all this time to kind of go up and down with it, which I think in my experience, I've gone up and down with it. Like I said, there's this impressive burden of being a role model for people that look like you, or that resonate with your ideals. But there's also the overwhelming desire, at least personally, for me to have some introverted privacy, I guess you could say. And to just, what I'm presenting you is what I want to present to you, and that's it, and nothing else. And so, at least in the beginning, I felt a lot of pressure, because we were up there and where we started, and what the climate was like. Like, I felt a lot of pressure to be very political. I felt the pressure to always be speaking on issues, um, that had to do with my community, I guess, but not necessarily my identity, but my community. So maybe it's not always your place. So there's a lot of tiptoeing around, and that's difficult. It's a difficult thing. And I still feel that, and it's like you have a responsibility, I think. But then again, the bigger you get, the wider your net is, and like not everyone's always going to agree with you. Like, gosh, I've so many examples of like, saying things at shows and people coming up afterwards and being like, what did you mean by that? Or like, do you really feel that way? Or like, I am this, like, why did you say that? You know what I mean? So I come and go with the feeling of what you specifically asked. Like, right now, I think I'm in a place of like, well, just my existence is enough. Like, if someone's here at this show or watching on YouTube and they've never seen someone in this packaging do this thing before and they feel inspired, then that's really good. It's not my place to say whether or not they should have seen someone by now at this point. Like, the world is so different. You know what? It's the reality. I grew up in a small town. I get it. Like, so I think I'm at a place right now where I'm happy to be like, girl power and queer power, and let's go. Like, let's be like, and to say those things again on a show. But sometimes it just, oh God, like sometimes it just doesn't feel, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like,
I mean, for like in Antwerp in
like,
Europe,
we've had moments where I'm like just dreading, like, because we used to always, we used to
the same.
we used to always at the end of our show say like, the same thing. We're here for the all of the marginalized people, essentially. I'm really paraphrasing it there, but yeah. And so like, there's some nights where I was just like, I don't know, like I'm going to say it. I know I'm going to say it because I always say it. Not so much anymore. I think we've kind of landed on like our presence is literally saying it, so we don't got to say it no more. And I think anyone that engages with us online knows that. So I think it can be left alone at the shows at this point, but yeah, there was some times where I really didn't want to say it, but I still said it, and it like
Always
got a reaction from the crowd. Like, we've had a couple instances that stand out in my mind of people like actually heckling us after that. And
I mean, like every band's gonna deal with that though. Like, I mean, we went on tour with Napalm Death a couple times now, and like they still deal with it. And they're like, like Barney is a very outspoken person. Like they will really put down what they believe in on stage. Like they use that stage as a platform to do that. And there's always a couple people that I guess missed the memo and came to that show and don't agree with Barney. Like, and what we would say is you can leave if you don't like this. You don't have to like our band. Like if it's not for everyone, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, those are usually the types, though, that are like rock is here for shock value and punk is going against the establishment. And so whatever the establishment is, the wokeness or whatever, that's what we go.
Sure,
so
yeah.
like those are usually the types, but like, and I mean, whatever.
And it's like a couple in a blue moon, obviously.
Right.
Like, we can't take that experience and judge the whole.
But the problem I have with that is that like what we're saying on stage is not inherently political. It's just like love each other, love yourself as who you are, and it's like just us existing in these forms and saying those things. It makes it political and it makes it a thing to where someone can heckle you, and it's like what is there to I just really never could wrap my head around like what is there to like have a problem with this, like.
And that's been my big question this whole time is like how and when did identity and women's rights, like things that are just so fundamental, become so political? But that's a whole conversation for maybe another podcast. I don't know,
or someone with much more education.
Yeah. No, but it's a really tough spot to be in, especially because you signed up to be musicians, but then you end up with so much more responsibility than maybe you even comprehended when you started a band. And now you have this weight on your shoulders and expectation as people in the public eye, where the question always is, oh, well, you have this platform. How are you going to use it? And so I think it's really wise what you're saying of like our presence and our being on stage in itself is the statement. Especially because it sounds like you've almost had to recoil out of the insane responses online. So it's like, what's the point of discourse if you're spooked into silence?
Yeah.
And
like,
it's a good way to put it, because that's definitely how we felt.
I felt that way too. That's why I don't go there much either.
There's a couple more things to that, I think, and that we're lucky that we have each other in a band, that we're going through that different ways in the same time. So we're lucky that we have that. There's a lot of bands with women or queer people where there's just only one, and so like maybe they can't talk to someone in their band, or maybe their band doesn't know how to talk to them about. I'm sure that exists.
The rest of our bandmates are very supportive of it.
They better be.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah,
obviously, yeah. And that's fantastic that you have each other and your camaraderie.
Yeah,
that's everything.
They'll almost jump to talk about it more than like I ever was. So it's like, but also on that note, like I think there is a voice for those things. Like it's never, you don't want to be like the loudest voice first, I guess you can say. Like if I'm speaking on an issue, like I know that if I'm the loudest voice first, it might be dismissed, or it might not be taken the way I want it to be taken. Whereas like I think someone like Riley from Power Trip was really good at this. He's a white man who can take the things that his friends experienced, that he saw other people. I mean, he wasn't from Dallas proper, but the people that he saw in like the inner city of Dallas, like he could take those issues and he could say it on a platform, and people would listen to him differently than they would listen to the people that, from the experience that he took from. So, by us existing, saying our piece, who we talk to, maybe there's a guy, out there like Riley that we can engage with, that, maybe the loudest voice first, that's better than us to say something first. I know that sounds crazy, like,
no, it's true,
but it really
through.
It gets in people's, like, if you see someone like you saying something, it's just science that you'll like, listen to it at least a little bit more intently. And so I think that there's like, maybe they're not the perfect vessels to say what exactly the people that they're trying to represent need said, but it's a way to get people's ears open to the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said that too on this podcast before, because, there is that connotation that if this is a femme-focused podcast, oh, hate men. And I'm like, no, allies. We love them. We need more of them. Let's educate. Let's come join the podcast. Come be a part of it. So absolutely. Although your voices need to be heard too, which is why you two are here right now. So all the above.
Yes.
And two, there was I'm such a mindset person. I love mindset. I love quotes. And there was a great quote in another interview where you said necessity breeds invention.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And
I quoted that from someone else. I don't even know who I quoted that from. Someone will tell me.
Someone Google it, and in the comments,
like
please credit the correct source. That's what the internet's for. Somebody do it, not me. Clearly, I did my research. But I digress. I love the quote nonetheless, and I think it's something I've always lived by is like you learn through practice, you learn through the challenges. I'm sure you've had many. What do you think is either like the funniest, craziest, or most productive moment you've had where you've had to think on the fly and something really great came out of it?
I think when I was talking about necessity breeding invention, maybe it had to do with, how we wrote and recorded the last album.
It was about the aux chord guitars.
Yeah.
It was.
So that was what kind of spurred that. Gosh, we've had so many like moments at shows that feel like that sometimes, like,
that
Jesse likes to fill the crowd out, and like in the past, like, one time Jesse was just like, when I say poo poo, you say pee pee. And like it just hit.
Someone's guitar was probably broken.
Yeah.
Had to fill the space.
And it hit. Point. When technical issues happen, that's when improv is good.
Totally.
So that hit in the moment, and we were like, okay, so this is like a universal thing that's like funny. But also like we can be funny, and like call and response can be a thing in our set. So like that kind of
it taught us how to do stage work.
So
you're comedians now. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Pee pee poo poo jokes.
Shit. I mean, like all that the improv end of our set, that kind of stuff standing out. That's definitely, you never know when you're going to get an opportunity. And I know this isn't directly answering the question, but we've gotten so many opportunities from so many random instances. Like, so for example, this is a great story. We had like an affiliation with Trauma at one point, in which, Trauma is kind of like this loose organization of like it's independent filmmakers and whatnot, and they come in under this name to make the products that they make, movies, film. And so like we were playing a DIY fest in Brooklyn once. This was before all this. And so I brought, for that end of the set where it's all improv, I brought my clarinet, and it was in a warehouse space in Brooklyn, small. And so they opened the door. And during that part, I just went out onto the street, and I was screaming on the sidewalk, grabbing people. I grabbed this one dude by the collar and was like screaming at him. I was playing clarinet and stuff. I broke my clarinet. It was fucked. And so the guy that I grabbed on the street was, I think at the time he was the marketing director or like an art director or something for Trauma. And so he was like, I loved that. Like, who are you? Like, this is fantastic. And so he became our friend.
That was the response, by the way.
Right.
That worked.
And this was after, like, he just kept going on his business, and then he found us afterwards. Like, Camden, shout out. I love him. Camden's my boy. But yeah, so like he reached out to us. He was like, I'm with Trauma. And so like from that, like we did a Toxic Avenger anniversary show with other bands. And we met Lloyd, and that was cool. And then we made a song for a director for her movie Honor Killing. Mercedes the Muse is her name. And so we made a song specifically for that. And we had one of their directors, Sebi Martinez, has done like quite a few of our music videos now.
One of our recent ones too.
3 or 4. Cliffhanger. The 3-part music series, The Evil Dead
all the
one.
Dice, all those original songs.
Oh yeah, and so all the introductions, so that's 3 on its own, and then 2 from Dreams on Island. So he did 5 music videos for us. Wow. So those kind of things, just random and just works out like that.
The moral of the story: harassment works. Just kidding. That is not the moral of this podcast. Do not. Consent is important, folks.
I took my chance.
That's funny though.
A white guy in Brooklyn. I figured he'd be into it. I took my chance.
Proper New Yorkers.
That's true.
Well, I know you guys have a lot coming up. This tour is just starting. There's Europe shows on the way. Anything else you want to shout out? Any last words of this podcast before we scoot out of here?
No, thank you for having us so much.
This
is an amazing thing that you do. It's amazing that it's supported by so many and those in charge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless up. Gosh, yeah, Summer Slaughter, we're about to go on. We're going to do a full tour in Europe, and then we are writing, like Chrissy said. So you can look forward to hearing new music from us. We've got big, big changes and all sorts of things that we can't quite say yet, but we are working on them, and we're always working on something. So
Always cooking. I
Stay
love
busy.
it. Yes. Well, Chrissy, Katerina, thank you both so much for coming in. Seriously, I admire you so much. This has been such a thoughtful conversation. I'm going to be thinking about this for the next few hours.
Oh, thank you, Tori. Me
And
too.
thank you for listening, for being here at She's with the Band as well. Couldn't do it without you. Notfest.com is where you'll find a new episode every other week. Leave us a comment, a review, say hi, and we'll catch you later. Bye, y'all.